Hello everyone and welcome to Fisimania. In today's video, we're going to be exploring what it takes to become a physicist in the United States. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at the requirements that universities impose on students in order for them to become physicists. I will also be talking about my own experience within this university system in the United States, the classes that I've taken for physics, for math, and for any other classes that I've taken as well. So stay tuned. Let's get started. All right. So there are basically two paths that you can take in order to become a physicist within the United States system. Once you have finished your mandatory secondary school, basically. So basically, this is when you finish high school and then you are applying for universities or colleges. So there are two paths, okay? One is basically you just go to a 4-year university, which is the one that we have here below. And then you have another path, which is basically going into a college where you're going to first do your first 2 years, and then you go to another university, and then you do 2 more years. And so, for those who might not be from the United States and might not be used to this system, I'll explain what a college is. A college is basically it's kind of like a 2-year university, but it only has like 2 years. And so you go to this college, you do your 2 years, and then you obtain a degree from there. This degree is what is known as an associate's degree. It can be an associate's in arts, and it can be an associate's in science. They might have other programs, more technical programs, but we're not going to go into that. So today I'm going to actually be focusing on the first of these paths, the college plus university, because that's my own path, the path that I took. And so I basically just did that out of high school. I went to college, a 2-year college, and then I transferred to another university and finished my next 2 years at that university. So let's look at the requirements for this college plus university. We have that, as I said already, the college is going to take 2 years, or approximately, okay? That's assuming that you go as a full-time student. And so it's going to take 2 years, and then you're going to be required to take 60 credits of classes in order to graduate. For example, this is for an associate's in arts. Now, you have to take into consideration that normally classes, regular classes, are about 3 credits each, right? So this means that if you only take 3 credit classes, you'll have to take 20 classes in order to get those 60 credits. And then once you transfer to the university, then you have to do 2 or more years. Also, again, depending on how many classes you take, if you're part-time or you are full-time student. And this is in order to complete then what is known as your bachelor's degree, your bachelor in science. And then at least you will be required to take 60 more credits, assuming that the credits that you have taken from the college transferred into the university. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides that I have prepared. Okay. So let us look at the college requirements. As I said, they require you to take 60 credits in order to graduate. Then they might also ask for specific classes depending on your major. So just in general, normally these colleges, they will require you to have some basic computer science class that you have taken or an exam that you have taken in order to have some literacy regarding these computer science classes. Then they might also require you to have 1 or 2 classes in foreign languages that is not English. Then, for example, in my specific college, which was in Miami, it's called Miami-Dade College, and I went actually to their honors program. They have an honors program. It's called the Honors College at Miami-Dade College. They basically had these requirements for me, where you have to take 6 grades of English classes, so basically 2 English classes, 6 credits of math classes at the minimum. So that means 2 classes at the minimum, 6 credits of natural science classes, 6 credits of social science classes, 3 credits of oral communication classes, 6 credits of humanities, 6 credits of math classes. I repeated that one, and the 6 classes of natural science. I repeated it again. But then you also have 3 credits of general education, okay? Then 20 credits of major electives. So basically the electives that count towards your majors, for example, in this case for physics, then those have to be 24 credits that count towards the physics degree. Okay, so that means like at least 8 classes. And those classes don't have to be specifically physics. They can also be chemistry, they can be math, or they can be physics. Okay, and those count towards the major because depending on what you want to do with your physics degree, then you will need those classes. Then 1 credit for first year experience class, which honestly, I think this is just a class where you go, they teach you random things, and they might bring speakers which teach you random things. This is normally, um, I think sometimes might just be done to get your money, but who knows? So as you can see, this actually amounts to 72 credits total in order to graduate. But in reality, you don't actually have to take those 72 credits because some of those classes that you end up taking, they might overlap with requirements. And this means, for example, uh, the 24 credit major electives, some of those classes might actually count towards the math classes that you require, and then also the natural science classes. So even though you're taking the math and the natural science classes, those for classes, for example, they might actually also count towards the 24 credits of the major electives. And so in that case, you actually don't have to repeat more classes, or you don't have to take extra classes. You can satisfy all the requirements within those 60 credits. And so we can take a look at, for example, Miami-Dade College, what they have as a reference for a 2-year program, where they actually have you take 5 semesters. Okay, and those 5 semesters, what they might be is like you take the fall semester. Okay, so that's between normally August and December, and then you take the spring semester, which is between January and May, and then an extra semester that you might have to take, which is during the summer, which might run from May to August, or there's different variations of that. Now, so as you can see here, for example, in semester 1, we have that we are taking the English class, we're taking some biology classes, then you are taking a college algebra class, which is just algebra, then some social science, and then the first year experience seminar. Okay. Now, as you'll see, because I'm going to show you now also my own path through Miami-Dade College and the classes I actually took, is that if you start taking college algebra, then if you want to transfer to a good university, or you want to transfer to other universities, they might actually require you to at least have calculus 1 and calculus 2 for a physics degree. If you want to transfer to a physics degree at the university level, so once you have finished this associate degree, then you might actually be required to have at least calculus 1 or calculus 2 in your pocket. Okay, so what I would recommend is that if you're going to go to a college for an associate's degree, is try to pass an exam. They normally have exams that are called math placement exams that should allow you to go at least to calculus 1. Okay, and so, well, let's just follow what they actually recommend, okay, or what is their path for a physics degree. Now that will be then taking uh, the second class of English, then taking some other humanity classes, then start taking pre-calculus. Okay, so it's not even calculus, it's pre-calculus and trigonometry. Then chemistry, then take the calculus 1 class, chemistry 1 with the lab, then take a social science class, then take an oral communication class, which is actually also a requirement. I think I forgot to mention that here in the previous slide. Oh no, but we have it here, 3 credits of oral communication classes. So that means that's the class that they require. Then chemistry too, because also most universities will actually ask you for that before you transfer. And then you have another humanity, and then you start taking physics classes. So that's the path they have, but they don't even go to physics 2, the introduction to physics 2 with calculus. So that's not actually the path I took, and I will not recommend anybody if they want to transfer to a 4 year university to try to finish the next 2 years. I will not recommend this path, honestly, because then you're kind of like gonna be a little bit behind, or you're going to have to take extra years. So basically, you're going to have to end up doing maybe actually 3 or 4 years in order to finish your bachelor's degree at the other university. And so also, if you're not from the US, this system might actually look a little bit um, troublesome because they're actually also requiring you to take general education classes, such as biology or maybe these English classes or these humanity classes and social science classes, which have nothing to do with physics. But this is just the way that it works. Is how it works here in the US. So know that if you go from another country into the United States, then you will be required to take these classes, even if you have taken them before in your original country. And so let me show you now what are the classes that I actually took when I was doing my associate's degree. And so this I started the college in fall of 2016, as you can see here, which ran from August to December of 2016. And so I did take a math placement exam. I had taken a calculus one in high school, but even though I had taken it in high school and I had the credits and everything, they did not allow me to uh, start with calculus two. They said I took the math placement exam and they said no, you still have to take calculus one. So that's what I did, and this is the class that you have here. But my first semester, I started taking 70 credits, as you can see here. And then I started with an introduction to chemistry. I have never taken a chemistry. So I started with an intro, but honestly, I think I could have gone into chemistry one because intro and chemistry one is basically the same. So I would just recommend uh, save those credits and then just go to chemistry one. But intro to chemistry, then the English requirement. Um, then I also enrolled in a class for writing, which was 2 credits because my writing was not that good in English and I needed to improve. So that was a good class, honestly, and it helped me a lot. Then I also enrolled actually in a entrepreneurship class, which we basically went to a class and then we tried to come up with new things or new ways of doing, solving problems in a sense, so solving problems that society has and things like that. So it was a good class. It was just a general education requirement that I could take on. So that class actually was fun. Then this honor leadership seminar one is basically the same, is equivalent to the first year experience class that they require. And because I was in the honors program, I had to take that class through all the semesters. So you'll see it in the next slides as well. And then I took calculus one. This was a total of 70 credits. Then for the spring 2017, I took the first chemistry class with its lab, then the second English class. I took again the first year experience class, but the second one for the honors college, which was it's called honors leadership seminar. Then I took calculus two, and then I started taking physics one with calculus and its lab. Okay, this was a total of 18 credits, as you can see here. Then next, during the summer, which is the 3 classes that I'm taking here, I took chemistry, the second class of chemistry, and then I also took calculus three. Okay, and so uh, I could not take physics two during the summer semester because it was not offered. So what I did is now in the fall of 2017, then I took that class. I took the physics two class with its lab, as you can see here, and then I had to satisfy all the requirements that the university asked for. So then I took economics. I took the third semester of that honors leadership seminar. You also have to satisfy some literature and some other general requirement classes, such as this one. So that's why I have this one here. And then I started taking also differential equations, okay, because you really need those for a physics degree. And so let me pause to make a recommendation because I will think that as a physicist, you need as much math as possible, at least on my experience. So if you can take the math classes, then start taking them earlier, because the more prepared you will be for higher physics classes. Okay. And so it will not put you behind or anything either. So that's also good. And so, as you'll see, in the same way that happened to me, is actually because I had taken so many math classes. Actually, by the time I became a junior, when I transferred to my um, to the 4 year university that I went to, I actually was able to apply for a math degree as well. So I actually ended up taking a physics degree and a math degree uh, for my bachelor's. So I did both degrees for my bachelor's. And so now for the spring semester, okay, which is not my last semester. I'm not showing you the summer 2018 classes that I took. It was only one class, so I skipped it out, but it was just a discrete math class, okay? But for my final, kind of like my final semester at Miami-Dade College, then I actually took a general education biology class that I had to take, a humanity class, which we talked about architecture, and actually was kind of fun to learn about architecture. So that was fun. But then the fourth semester of honors leadership, then I took linear algebra, also very, very important for anything related with quantum mechanics, or even like classical mechanics is also very important. Then I took a philosophy class, also very fun to take. So, and then I took sociology because it was also a requirement. And so at that point, then I had already applied for universities. I had already applied to transfer to those universities to finish my next 2 years for my bachelor's. And at that moment, I got accepted to University of Wisconsin in Madison, the University of Wisconsin Madison, and that's basically where I transferred to in for the fall of 2018. And so let me now talk about the university requirements. I'll speak from uh, the perspective of going through the 4 years. But then, as you know, actually, if you transfer, then the minimum grades that they're going to require is actually going to be 60. Now, if you just go directly from high school, from finishing your second or your secondary school, then the requirements that they're going to actually ask for you is to complete at least 120 credits to graduate, then complete at least 3 classes of non-English language. This actually is at least for the University of Wisconsin-Madison, okay? Then 12 credits of humanities, from which at least 6 credits must be from literature, then 12 credits of social sciences, 12 credits of natural sciences, from which 6 credits must be from biology, and then 6 credits must be from physics. Then 3 credits on ethnic studies, and I'll explain why this. So, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and this at least was the explanation they gave me, is considered a very white school. So basically, it's majorly dominated by, or the demographics of students there is mostly white people, so American people from the United States. And so they want their students to have a more well-rounded education, supposedly, and they want the students to learn about other cultures, other ethnicities. And so they require you to have one class, at least one class on these ethnic studies. Uh, then they also require you to have at least 6 credits of mathematics at the intermediate level, which means that you have to take previous classes or previous math classes in order to reach that level. And then 60 of these credits from the 120 credits must be at least at the intermediate level. Okay, so there's like there is a beginner's level, intermediate level, and then advanced level. And this is kind of, you can know which class this is going to fall to depending on the number the class has. So normally, for example, in Wisconsin-Madison, classes with, I think, numbers within the 3,000 and 4,000, so basically between 3,000 and 5,000 actually, they fall into the intermediate level. And then 5,000 and above, they're considered advanced level. Now, for the major, for the physics requirement, then they actually require you to take at least 35 physics credits. Then within those credits, then you actually need to take, these are the classes kind of like they require you to take for that major. Those are the three introductory courses, which is Physics 1, Physics 2, and then modern physics, which basically teaches you in a very beginner's way about relativity, special relativity and general relativity, quantum mechanics, thermodynamics as well. Okay, so it's kind of like those are the main topics, but there might be more. I think there might be also nuclear physics, or somehow, or at least in my course, I remember there was some nuclear physics at the very beginner level. Then after those three introductory courses, you actually have to take classical mechanics. Then you have to take at least electromagnetism number one, and then quantum mechanics one. At the University of Wisconsin-Madison, electromagnetism is divided into two courses and quantum mechanics as well. So they require you to at least take the first course of these classes. Then you also have to take 4 credits in advanced laboratories. These can be laboratories about quantum mechanics or modern experiments. And then they require you to take 9 credits in advanced physics electives. So basically any class that you want, but for example, particle physics or cosmology or astrophysics that are at the advanced level. So basically credits with having like 5,000 or more. And so this is now kind of like what they recommend, or if you start from a 4-year program. So basically you just go and then you just take the 4 years. So I'm going to show you this so you have that for your information as well. You have to start taking basically math to 222. This actually is calculus 2. So it's not even calculus 1. They kind of like expect you to come into the university already knowing calculus 1. And so this is the first class, which is calculus 2. Then this is a comp science class, so a computer science class, such as maybe Python or Java or C++, something like that. Then a communication A, so basically something related with communication. Then the foreign language. In my case, because I come from Spain, I came from Spain in 10th grade. They actually never actually asked me for any foreign language, and I didn't have to take any. I took one class, as you'll see later on, which it was actually on Spanish, but it was because it could satisfy my literature uh, requirements, and it was an easy class. So this is during the fall of the first year. Then for the spring of the first year, then they actually give you this physics 247, which is going to be the equivalent to physics 1. Or if you go back and then you look at my transcripts, then it will say, for me, it will say physics 2048. So this is kind of like the equivalent of that class. Then this is physics 2. Okay, let me just go first through the spring. Then we have physics 1, then we have math 234. You know, go a little bit. Which will be the equivalent to calculus 3 in the classes that I took. Then we have the class for ethnic studies, another foreign language. Then for the second year in fall, you have physics 2. Then we have math 319. And math 340, where 319 actually corresponds to linear algebra, and then 340, actually, sorry, the other way around, 319 corresponds to differential equations, and then 340 corresponds to linear algebra. So you can see now why if you go to a college university, it's also important that you start taking those math classes because at 4-year universities, they are already taking those classes. So you don't want to fall behind, or at least to fall behind the least amount of possible, right? Then you have this and Inter LS 210, which will be kind of like the equivalent to the first year experience class at the college university. Then you have a humanities class, you have physics 249, which will be the equivalent of modern physics, as I said before. Then you have physics 311, which now this will be classical mechanics. Then you have physics 301, where this 301 is actually going to be kind of like just going to seminars and it can count as a class. Then you have math 321, which in this case, this is kind of like a vector algebra analysis class. And this is basically you have vectors, and then you use complex math, and you can use um, like actual complex math, like, like imaginary numbers and everything to analyze vectors and their properties and what else. You don't actually have to take these classes. These are not required, but this is kind of like a plan they put for you, which can count as some electives that you can take for the major as well. So you can take this path or not. That's up to you. But you'll have to check your general requirements. But this is a good plan in a sense. Then you have also the literature requirement. And now for the third year, then you're going to start taking some laboratory classes, such as this one, 307. You're going to start with physics 322, oh, which is the first class of electromagnetism, the first course. Then you have Math 322, which is a continuation of that vector analysis class, Math 321. Then you have some social science, communication classes. Then you have to take another physics lab course, which again, these lab courses are going to be more advanced courses, which can be, for example, some labs on quantum mechanics or some modern experiments. I remember taking one of those and it was fun. It can also be, I took actually an electronics lab, which can also count for this one. Then you have some other physics elective, humanities, social science, and biological science. And as you can see now, here you kind of start taking more classes that you want, and it's not as much requirements, although you still have some requirements, as you can see, humanities, social science, and biology. Then we have physics 448, which is this is actually the first class for quantum mechanics. Then another physics elective, and then some other general education requirements. Then for spring, you end up taking quantum mechanics 2. Again, this is if you want, because this is not required, but I would recommend that if you want to go to graduate school and then you want to do PhD or you want to go into academia, things like that, and you want to be more prepared, then you should be taking these classes. Then you have thermodynamics, which again is not a requirement from the department, but they put it here because it should be good for you. And then you have some other general requirement classes. Let us now look at the classes that I actually took. And so during my first semester, I took that ethnic studies class just to get rid of it, which was some class about Native American Indians and their history and their culture. Then I also took the Math 321 class about vector analysis. I took Physics 241, which is actually the equivalent to what you'll see now as Physics 249, which is Intro to Modern Physics. Then you have sociology. Then for my second semester here, I took the genetics class, which was to satisfy, I only had taken one class in biology at my college, so I had to take another class. This genetics class counted as my biology class. Then I took Math 421, which was basically a proof class in mathematics about calculus. So basically you just do, instead of doing calculus and then applying it to real life, then what you do is actually prove the theorems of calculus. Then I took the lab that I told you about, 307. I took the classical mechanics class in my second semester, and then I took the Spanish class, which was to satisfy my my literature requirements. As you can see, intro to Hispanic literatures. Then on my third semester, I took astronomy, solar system astrophysics. I took complex analysis, which was basically also a proof class, but about it's a math class, it's a proof class, and it was about proving some theorems and things like that in about complex analysis. So basically using imaginary numbers and things like that. Also solving there was also some application where we will solve some integrals actually using complex analysis, where basically you might have some variables or you have an integrand and then you want to integrate that integrand, but then using imaginary numbers, which could simplify the way that you can solve this integral. Then I took the first course in electromagnetism, so the first E&M, then the first also quantum mechanics course, and then for my last two semesters. So as you see, there's actually I actually took 2 years and a half to finish because I also wanted to do my math degree. And so that's why you have here now 5 semesters. I took 5 semesters, no summers. These all of them are fall or spring semesters. And so during my my spring semester of 2020, I took then the second class of E&M. I took thermodynamics. For 15, I took quantum mechanics number 2. I also took intro to particle physics. And then I also did my senior thesis, um, which I did in conjunction with a professor. Okay, but it counts as a credit. Then my last semester, to also satisfy my last requirement for the math degree, I took modern algebra, which basically talked about group theory and how you can use group theory and applications in real life as well. Then I took a lab in electronics. I took a lab in optics. This was required for me. And the reason you see that I was taking two lab classes, which were worth 4 credits each, although only 4 credits were required. The reason I took two classes is because from these two labs, only 2 credits apply towards that requirement, which is stupid. But they did it like that. I don't know why they do it like that, but I had to take those two classes. Well, I ended up taking those two labs. I ended up taking my second semester of senior thesis, and then physics 731, which is the graduate quantum mechanics class um, at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And so that's kind of like my path through the physics degree here in the United States. As you can see here, I took actually a total of 56 physics credits, and the classes that I took are listed here only for physics, which again is physics 1 and physics 2, then intro to modern physics, the modern physics lab, which is the introductory lab that I talked to you about, then classical mechanics, an astrophysics class, ENM 1 and 2, quantum mechanics 1 and 2, thermodynamics, intro to particle physics, electronics lab, optics lab, senior thesis 1 and 2, and then graduate quantum mechanics. And so I hope this video has helped you. Please let me know if you have any questions about this, how everything works. I'm happy to answer any questions and help you out. So thank you for your time. See you in the next video. Papa,